So I feel like pretty much everyone hated the new Beauty and the Beast movie. I mean, critics didn't, but like people that liked Beauty and the Beast did, which is not a good sign. I had pretty mixed feelings about it. Like there was stuff that I liked and stuff that was really weird and awkward. So I'm gonna take a gentle compliment sandwich approach. Good thing, bad thing. Thanks, phone. Thanks for that. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, bad thing. It's one of those crazy sandwiches where there's so much stuff in the sandwich, they keep putting more bread on as well. Dude, there's crazy wind outside. I'm gonna ignore it. Okay, let's get cooking. Let's make this sandwich. Good thing, funny dialogue. There were a lot of lines in the movie that I genuinely thought were funny. I liked when Chip was like, "Mama told me not to move or it'll scare you." I thought it was funny when Gaston was like, "Are you gonna listen to this old hag?" No offense, Agnes. Like just little asides, little moments that worked. Bad thing, the scenes in the village at the beginning of the movie, I don't know what was wrong with them, but they were like so awkward. And it got better later, but like the beginning was rough, man. I was like, oh boy. All the dialogue was worse, the delivery was worse. Like, did they film it in sequence and they hadn't hit their stride yet? I don't understand. Good thing, the curse feels more apt. Like there's more irony to it. They had this whole thing where he taxed his subjects cruelly so that he could surround himself with beautiful objects and beautiful people. So then when the servants turn into furniture, you're like, oh, it's like an ironic twist and not just like a really random clause in this curse. Like in the cartoon, there is no explanation for why they're furniture. Like this old hag just had some crazy ideas she's been looking for an excuse to use. Bad thing, they added this weird element where the servants like deserved to be cursed too because the beast had an abusive father and they didn't intervene. Like, okay, if the king is evil and you're just his household servants, like what are you gonna do? What are you even expected to do at that point? And how many of them in the household could have possibly even known about it or been directly involved with it? Like Chip got cursed. Man, I hate Chip. Chip, the 6-year-old, sure was complicit in the abuse of his prince. Chip, you monster. How could you just stand idly by? Good thing, this movie covered a lot of plot holes. But like, they were plot holes that didn't necessarily need to be fixed. But I mean, like, yeah, I guess if you're changing it anyway, you might as well take care of that. Most of the stuff they fixed was stuff that I literally didn't care about in the original. But one thing I thought was nice was fixing like the timeline weirdness by just having the castle exist in its own bubble of time. That was a good idea. Bad thing, the townspeople were more outwardly evil in this version. I mean, this is Beauty and the Beast, not Cinderella. In the cartoon, they don't really understand Belle, so they're wary of her, which makes her like an outcast and they gossip about her and stuff. So they're maybe like kind of stupid and simple, like easy to whip up into a frenzied mob. In this one, they like actively hate her. They literally just dump all of her laundry on the ground in front of her because she tried to teach a little girl how to read. Just unapologetically, she's standing there and they're like, yep, this is what happens, Belle. This is what we're doing right now in front of you. Took us like 10 minutes. Did she not like intervene or say something while this was going on? Was she just like, Good thing they added the rose back into the story from the original fairy tale, the part where Maurice steals a rose. Bad thing, the rose never made that much sense and just made the Beast and Maurice seem more unreasonable. Okay, if Maurice is already fleeing a castle that he just discovered is cursed, why would he then be like, no, hey, it's the thing Belle asked for. I'll just take it from here, instead of just like continuing to flee. Knowing this version of Belle, I don't think she would have held it against him if he just got home and he's like, I tried to get you a rose, but instead I narrowly escaped a cursed castle and here's this awesome story I have about it. And these roses are in the garden of the cursed castle. Like, what if the roses are cursed? He's just gonna take one home to Belle? Also, the whole reason that Disney had the rose in the jar with the petals falling off in their version of the story was to reconcile the fact that they had removed the rose from the beginning. So it was like an instead kind of thing. But now here we have the rose in the jar that's part of the curse where the petals fall off, and the roses in the garden, unrelated, and Belle also loves roses because they were important to her mother. Again, unrelated. Belle has a necklace that I think was her mother's because they have a close-up of it, but it's a tree and not a rose. I don't understand. Good thing Gaston was really good. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with this actor, so when I saw the promotional stuff, I was like, he looks like a bad Gaston. He's too lean. I don't like it. And I guess he's been in stuff. Like, I saw Dracula Untold, but I don't know if that's a good thing to remember him from. And then, like I said, the beginning of the movie, the dialogue was like awkward and stilted, so I was like, oh, this Gaston is not working for me. But then by the end of the Gaston song, he like embodies Gaston so well that you're like, yeah, like Gaston. And then in the mob song, he like belts out the high note and he throws the torch and he lights the thing on fire and you're just like, yeah. I liked him, he was good. Bad thing, Gaston was bad. Yeah, I know what I just said. I liked the performance of Gaston, but the way he was written was really bad. He was just too all over the place. Like, I feel like cartoon Gaston follows a pretty familiar cartoon villain trajectory. He's like campy scheming at the beginning of the movie, but like grinning while he's doing it, so he's still fun to watch. And then it kind of, something happens that causes him to escalate to insane murderous right at the end, just to make him threatening for the final scene. This Gaston would have like a funny line and then like a sad line about how he was traumatized by the war and like it affected him emotionally and you feel bad for him. Then like a silly monologue to himself in the mirror. Then he punches an old man in the face and tries to leave him tied up so the wolves will eat him. Then he has a funny line again in the tavern. And then he wants to kill the beast. How can we feel about this Gaston? Does he have more depth or less depth? Is it camp or is it grit? Do we like him? Do we not like him? Is he fun? Is he scary? He's like neither and both. It didn't work. Good thing. I liked that they added an element to the curse to make it more horrific, where every time a petal falls, the curse gets a little more cursey instead of just like, it is the way it is, and then when the last petal falls, it's bad. It's like it gets gradually worse. There's that body horror element of the servants turning more into furniture. And like there's big pieces of furniture that can't see their spouses because they're on different floors and they can't navigate the stairs. I don't know why they couldn't talk from the balcony, but I think the funny thing about that is picturing like the median point. Like if you're mostly human, you're not that scary. Like maybe you just look like the Broadway versions of the characters. And right now they're mostly furniture, which is a little uncanny valley, but imagine them in their horrifying, total half furniture, half human states. It's a good thing Belle didn't come there a couple years before when they were just in full terror mode. That's gross, yeah. Bad thing. The weird 11th hour magical book. It's so weird to have a magical teleporting book, and to us, the audience, it doesn't exist until like 75% of the way through the movie. And it affects the plot so little. Like the Beast just straight up forgot about it until that moment. When they introduced the book, I actually laughed out loud because the Beast is just suddenly like, oh yeah, I have this stupid magical book. It lets me teleport to anywhere in the world. I never use it. And the magic mirror still exists in this version of the movie. What, the Enchantress left him 2 ironic, taunting windows to the world? Did she just have an idea for 2 different magical objects and she couldn't pick? Honestly, since his goal was to find the one woman in the world who could love a beast, the intent was probably that he would take the magical book and travel the world and find this woman, and instead he's like, what can I use this stupid book for? I'm too ugly to go outside. And then he just sits in his castle forever waiting for the one woman who can love him to just randomly walk into his castle. And then you never see the book again. Like, Belle finds out that she has to go save her father as quickly as possible, and she's like, I must go to him at once. Ready my horse. She's in too much of a hurry to change out of her big ball gown, but she doesn't think to take the magic teleporting book. I'm pretty sure they only put it in to wrap up another plot hole, like the idea that Belle has that whole song about how she wants adventure in the great wide somewhere, and then at the end of the movie she's just living in a castle married to a prince. Like, that's a nice life, but it's not what she said that she wanted. So I think the implication is like after she marries the Beast, they can teleport all over the world and have adventures together. But like, why didn't they just give him a boat? Put the castle on like a cliff by the ocean, and he's like, oh, I have that stupid boat that I never use because I'm a beast and I can't travel. But then when the curse is broken, we can take my boat around. Wouldn't that leave fewer unanswered questions? Good thing. I liked Belle's family's backstory. The idea that she and her father were city people that moved to this little tiny town in the country kind of explained why they were so othered by the town and why they might be more forward thinking. Bad thing. I thought it was weird that Belle's mom's death was treated like a twist. Like Maurice kept the details a secret from Belle for some reason. I did like the scene where she revealed her sad backstory to the Beast because it was like a good bonding moment. But then when she's back with Maurice, she's like, I figured out what happened to Mom. And Maurice is like, oh, I'm so overprotective. I should have told you. Was that supposed to be like a character thread that like Maurice is overprotective? They didn't really demonstrate him being overprotective at any other point. I mean, he didn't want her to live in a castle as the captive of a beast. I don't know if that's overprotective. And why is it a twist to find out that the mom died of illness? Isn't that what one would assume had happened? Like, if anything, she's gonna assume it's worse and you like killed her. I mean, she already knows her mom is dead, so how will knowing the cause make it worse? Good thing. I liked how the Beast actually apologized to his servants for getting them caught up in the curse and not being able to break it in time. Like, kind of too little too late, but it's something. Bad thing. I thought there was a big missed opportunity in the scene where Gaston's loading Maurice up into the crazy wagon. Gaston's like, you ever seen the inside of a madhouse, Maurice? I wanted Maurice to look out at the crowd and be like, this is the madhouse. And then he like spits at Gaston. He like lights a cigarette and like puts on sunglasses and flips off the camera. I don't know, I just wanted it to happen. Good thing. I liked the equal opportunity mob. Gaston doesn't think women should read, but like, if you want to join his mob and go kill a beast, he's gonna be like, let me light your torch for you. Bad thing. It's weird that Belle comes home in the ball gown. First of all, it looks crazy. Like, why didn't she change? But also, it doesn't make sense anymore that she shows them the beast in the mirror. Like, the gown is so ostentatious. It's like the elephant in the room. When Gaston's like, he's crazy. He said you were in this big castle with a beast. Belle could just, like, look down at herself and then look back at Gaston like he's a huge idiot and be like, where do you think my giant ball gown came from, Gaston? Riddle me that. Where have I been for the last month? And then they have this big like feminist moment where she's got to ride to the Beast Castle really fast, so she rips the ball gown off. But like, was she in less of a hurry to save her father? Because she left the gown on the first time. I'd feel offended if I were him. Good thing. I liked the new songs. I thought they were nice. Bad thing. The really protracted sequence where every single character horrifically dies. Should I have put a spoiler warning on this? Spoiler warning. So they already explained if the curse isn't broken, everybody turns back into furniture. We are aware of the stakes. Just like in the animated version, Belle breaks the curse like a couple seconds too late. So there's a moment where it appears that he's just the beast and he's just dead. And it's very sad. And in the cartoon, that's impactful enough. In this one, they cut away from that moment to a very long sequence where we see all of the servants turn into real furniture. So basically they are dying and they are aware that it's happening. For some reason, it doesn't all happen at once. It's got like enough of a delay for them to all watch each other die and be sad about it. Babette dies in Lumiere's arms. Mrs. Potts and Chip's corpses are lying side by side. Cogsworth's like, Lumiere, I can't speak. It hurts. I'm afraid to die. It's just horrible. I wasn't in a theater with children, but I'd imagine that they were all crying. It was just so drawn out and so horrible. It was, why would they do this? Good thing, I liked the Mr. Potts twist. I don't know why it got me the way that it did. It was the most energized I felt for the whole movie. I literally cheered. I don't know. I was just like, Mr. Potts, the mystery explained. Like she said Mr. Potts and I went, oh, Mr. Potts. Bad thing, when the footstool turned back into a dog, it immediately peed on a guy's leg. I actually thought that for once in my life, I was going to get through an entire kids movie without seeing a character get peed on for comedic effect. And they just pulled the rug out from under me and then peed on it, I guess. Good thing. I liked LeFou. Yeah, I said it. I know he was a controversial character. I think part of it is that I like Josh Gad, and I like villains that get reformed. It was kind of nice, even though his entire character arc was just exactly the arc of the sidekick from Enchanted. You remember the henchman that was played by the same actor that played Wormtail? Yeah. exactly the same. It was weird though. Everyone said he was gonna be gay and that he had a big gay moment, and I was like watching for it and I didn't see it at all. Are they talking about that shot in Gaston where he literally goes, I hope not? Is that what gay people do? Was him deciding not to be evil his big gay moment? I guess I don't see a lot of evil gay people. Was it that time he got crushed by a falling piano? Is that like a gay thing? I don't know, it's almost like whatever they put in there, it was so brief and minor that it wasn't this big moment for LGBT representation, and it was just like a big publicity stunt. But I must have just not seen it. So there you go. I'm done making this delicious sandwich. Don't eat it all at once, because it's a big sandwich. It's hard to get your mouth around such a tall sandwich. So what did you guys think? Leave your opinion in the comments so that I can artificially inflate the stats of this video. Oh yeah, also I forgot, Emma Watson can't sing.